Hello. So in this video, I'm going to talk through my favorite websites for historical research and just generally finding out about the past and just some interesting places to just go and explore. I've started off with this image from Hooke's Micrographia from 1665. Obviously, in those days, in the 17th century, they didn't have the internet, and people like Samuel Pepys would have looked at Hooke's work and been amazed at the drawings that he made using a microscope back then. And now we've got such a variety of places to look online. So quite different. Anyway, the first place I will start is the Google Ngram viewer. And this is quite incredible. What it does is it sifts through, it searches through all of the books that have been scanned in and uploaded to Google Books, and it looks for the frequency of any word that you put in there into the search box. So you just go to the website and you put in a word and it'll show you the frequency. So I just put in war there, and you can see from 1800 to 2019 books published in those years. This is the frequency of that word, and it does correspond. Obviously, you see the two peaks with the two world wars. So it's quite interesting. You see that the mid 1860s, with the U.S. Civil War, and then it goes to decline. Then the 20th century really picks up. So quite interesting. Also, I just put in communism. Obviously, virtually no mention of communism until the mid 19th century. And then it's really quite steady until we get to about 1917, and then it picks up. And then obviously following World War II and during following World War II, it really, really ramps up with the Cold War and then really rapidly decreases as we get to the late 70s and 80s into the 21st century. So you can go to Google Ngram, it's completely free, and you can just have a bit of fun looking at the frequency of words and seeing what they correspond to. The second site that I'm going to talk about is the Old Bailey Online, and this is where the proceedings of the Old Bailey from 1674 to 1913 are input on this website. It's really, really incredible. Almost 200,000 criminal trials online. You can search by keyword and it just brings up records. So I've just looked for one using my surname, Gunn, and this was just one of the first ones I found, which was this case of a violent theft of highway robbery on the 12th of January 1772, where somebody called Butler Fox was accused of assaulting John Gunn on the highway. And Butler Fox in the end was acquitted. But you can read all about the case, where it took place, what happened, the evidence, and if witnesses give evidence, all of those things. So it's absolutely fascinating to find out about different crimes going all the way back to the 17th century at the Old Bailey. So that's a really, really interesting website to do some research, particularly if you're interested in the history of crime and punishment in the UK in that period. The next site that I think is really useful is the National Archives Currency Converter, and it converts currency from the past to present day, all the way from the 13th century. So you can calculate how much things were worth. And if you're reading a history book and it says, oh, somebody was fined 5 shillings, you can work out how much that equates to today. So just as an example, one thing I've done is Charles I signed the Treaty of Ripon in 1640, and was forced to pay the Scots £850 a day for the Scots army to stay in Newcastle. So you read about this in a history book about Charles I, and you're thinking, well, how much was that really? £850 for a monarch. Was that a lot of money or not? But if you go on this website, it tells you that equates to, in 2017, almost £100,000 a day that Charles I was having to pay the Scots. So you could see in 1640, that would buy you 133 horses, 157 cows. It's 12,000 days of skilled labor. So it's a huge amount of money. So it really highlights just how expensive that was. So it's a really, really good site to convert, if you're reading history books, to convert into modern day prices. And finally, the last site that I think is really great and I want to tell people about is the Yale University Open Courses Online. And this is, again, like all of these sites, completely free, and you can just look at what Yale University has got on offer. It's got course materials, syllabus, it's got readings, it's got videos, and there's a huge variety of courses available. I've just highlighted the history ones here. So there's these history courses. They're from early modern England to epidemics in Western society, US history, so the American Revolution, the Civil War and Reconstruction one by David W. Blight. I strongly recommend for students of civil rights. I think that's a really great course that's completely online. But there's other courses in English, geography, history of art, etc., that you can look at. So I'd strongly recommend you having a look at that and really, delving into those and just having some fun, just finding out about areas that maybe you hadn't studied before. So I hope that was interesting. If you've got any sites that you like to look at in terms of studying history, anything that you think would be useful for people to know about, please leave a comment below, and I'll leave all these links in the description so you can explore these sites in your own time. Thank you for listening.